Hey, how's it going, Wayfinders? Today I've got a fun Venomous dagger build for you to try, and it's geared towards more solo play and giving you some benefits you might not normally have with some of my previous builds, all while staying relatively competitive in a DPS race. At the end of the video, I'll have gameplay footage of my new personal best Reaver King clocking in at 1 minute and 9 seconds, and other gameplay clips of the build in action. Let's get into the build. I'm calling this one the Golden Moon since I'm using the Gilded Beast accessory set, which uses the Golden Cloak, Golden Heart, and Golden Stalker Claw along with the Harvest Moon Daggers. This accessory set can be found in any of the Reaver Woods maps with a greed imbuement and can be found from chests or enemies such as the Shroud Stalker. It favors crit power and weapon power along with break power and some AP. By now you know daggers typically don't have the best innate break power within the weapon type, but I decided to double down into break power with this set and the Harvest Moon daggers because these daggers also bring a good amount of break power and they must have crit power that we're going for. The weapon ability also increases the damage you do to enemies. The accessory bonus also adds an additional 10% crit power, break power, and crit rating. My accessories are not all level 33 and don't have perfect attack slots, but even having an attack and balance slot works fine. Stat-wise, we are sitting right above 7k crit power and 4200 weapon power with 3k ability power and roughly 3500 break. Ideally, I wouldn't have minded moving some crit rating over into one of the other stats, but this is kind of where I ended up. Lastly, we have just over 2k health to give you enough of a buffer to stay alive in some tougher scenarios such as Midas, Bonebreakers, and Blood Wardens. For echoes, I'm using a mix of Bloodletters and Talons for both weapon power and break, and crit power and AP, along with the Lightkeeper Echo and the Auto Rock Rush Echo, which does really good damage on a low cooldown even without a ton of weapon power. I fill in other spots with some more weapon power and health echoes along with the Marrow Echo. Since this build will be breaking enemies rather quickly, you can double dip into even more crit rating and crit power. Just know that the Marrow Echo doesn't seem to trigger unless you're the one who actually breaks the enemy, making this only reliable in a solo setting. We have some more Talons equipped along with the Hollow Horrors for weapon power in the balance slots, and a Bonebreaker to get us over the 7k crit power with some additional break stats. For ability points, I'm using 3 in Vampiric Blast for the additional damage and healing, 2 points into Transfusion for the damage and healing, and 2 points into Venom Thrusters for the additional Cloud and 50% damage reduction. For affinity points, I'm still favoring Discipline as it has a good spread of investment into health, weapon, and break power, and both crit stats while also bringing the healing perks. Then we pick up both tier 1 damage perks in the other trees, and I invested just a bit more into the Instinct for the 3-stack investment into crit power and additional weapon and break power. Lastly, we're still using the Reaver King artifact and Inspiring Flourish Dagger Mastery. Now for some gameplay. All of this is on Sphere 4, and this build still packs a punch, especially after you get your crit or weapon ability rolling, and can break enemies rather quickly while still doing pretty solid health damage. There are some unique benefits to this build, such as completely making loot goblins immobile. Prior to some of the melee movement improvements, chasing a goblin as daggers could be annoying at times, but with this build you can instantly break the goblin, which throws him to the floor and allows for an easy kill. You can break packs of enemies, and even the tankier Phoenix mobs go down pretty quickly, and you'll still have enough AP to heal yourself to full, and Vampiric Blast seems to keep up with the damage. This build also makes doing double greed Midas runs much easier to handle as daggers. Again, the cool thing about this build is that you're a bit more well-rounded regards to doing break damage and can break bosses rather quickly as well. Hopping into Bloodbore, it only takes a few hits and ability to actually break him and get him down, and then you can just finish him up. The same goes for Wormwood. This is on Sphere 4 difficulty, and after you deal with some of the initial attacks such as the beam that chases you at the start, and then a few other AoE telegraphs that spawn, you can get your damage rolling and build up your combo. At the time of this recording, there is a visual bug with the dagger buff in the bottom left tray as it does not refresh visually. After you get some hits chained, you'll be able to break him and use your Harvest Moon ability to really ramp up your damage. I'm usually averaging anywhere from 45 to 50 second end screens on Wormwood Sphere 4. Here is gameplay footage of my new personal best speedrun with Daggers on Reaver King with this build. If you end up giving the build a try, I'd love to know what you think and if you prefer this compared to my Gloom Monstrosity build, or let me know what you ended up changing to fit your own playstyle. As always guys, thanks for watching, subscribe for more Wayfinder videos on the way, and see you in the next one.